Hey, listen!
Welcome everyone, this is Andres Restart, and this time we are talking about our predictions for the final 8 tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Booster Course Pass. Wave 5 has recently come out, we've gotten some of the characters, there are 2 characters left. Last week we went over our predictions for who those 2 characters might be, but this time we're talking about the tracks, perhaps the star of the show. How will they close out this Booster Course Pass? We've gotten so many great tracks in an already pretty densely packed game. And throughout this DLC, they have surprised us multiple times. We didn't know we'd be getting characters and we got that. We didn't know we'd be getting new stages and we've gotten that. We didn't know we'd be getting updates to the game like being able to customize items, and we've gotten that. So how they close out the pass could be unpredictable. There may be things there that really throw us for a loop. But regardless, because it's fun and maybe we might get some things right, we are going to attempt to predict what will come with the final wave of the Booster Course Pass. But before we go further, let me point out that we are aiming to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you do enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. With your help, it just might be possible. And with that said, I'd also like to thank our sponsor for today's video, AweSun. What AweSun offers is a remote desktop software. So basically with this software, you can take your phone and you can sign into the app, and then with that same account you sign into the software on your PC, and by doing so you can connect them, and wherever you are, you can access your computer and control it in any way. You can play games, you can edit software, you can upload videos. This is something that I personally use to get my videos done sometimes. When a video is taking a while to upload or what have you, I may have to step out of the house, but as long as I have my phone with me, I can make sure it gets published in time. And there's a few different versions. There's the free version, which will allow you to use the remote desktop. You'll still be able to transfer files, do remote printing, screen mirroring. With the paid pro version, you will have access to remote control on Android devices and remote CMD. And the paid game version allows you to use your phone to play PC games on your phone running on your PC. It even supports up to 144 frames per second, so you can get a lot done with this. And they even sell a smart power plug, so with this you'll be able to turn your computer on and off from wherever you are as long as you have your phone with you. By using this code you see on the screen, when you click the link in the description below, you can get a 7-day free trial, but this code will only work for the first 200 people, so make sure to check it out as soon as you can. So when it comes to predicting the final 8 tracks in the Booster Course Pass, we do have some tools that can assist us somewhat here. So there was a Datamine a while back, and we saw a whole bunch of names for the different musical tracks we would see in the Booster Course Pass, and from this, a somewhat general guide was able to be deciphered for what the tracks would be. It hasn't been perfect, but it's been fairly close. There have been waves where maybe, for example, an expected tour track comes out in the wave afterwards. They might swap out one Wii game for a GameCube game or vice versa. So it hasn't been perfect, but it's been pretty close, and it gives us a general understanding of what may be happening. But the interesting thing about this guide is that, well, there are 3 unknown tracks, and typically the unknowns have meant entirely new tracks. But when we take a look at the 5 waves we've gone so far, there are some patterns to note. So with the first 3 waves, it was always 2 tour tracks and 1 new track. And with the last 2 waves, it's been 3 tour tracks and 1 new track. And everything else are remade tracks based off prior games. So the first 3 waves had a pattern. Could it be that the final 3 waves will also have a pattern? Should we maybe expect 3 tour tracks and 1 new track for the final wave? Potentially, but as I brought up earlier in the video, this Booster Course Pass has had a number of surprises. They've done things that they didn't initially promise, like adding more customizable items and characters. So we're not entirely sure what they'll do with Wave 6. There could be some things that will throw things off. Perhaps that deciphered Datamine could be suggesting that they're going to go out with a bang with the final wave, and there'll be 3 whole brand new tracks. That is a possibility. But it should also be noted that with the final wave, it was predicted that Vancouver Velocity and Maple Treeway would be there, but we've gotten both of those already. And Maple Treeway was supposed to be one of the 2 Wii tracks we'd be getting in the final wave, but we've already gotten that, yet we are missing 1 Super Nintendo track. So given that it seems like some of these tracks have been swapped for one or the other, there's a decent chance we see one more Super Nintendo track, which makes sense because we've only gotten one throughout the first 5 waves. It's one of the most underrepresented of all the different Mario Kart games, so I think there's a decent chance we might see at least one Super Nintendo track. But before I get into my actual predictions for what these tracks will be, let me also say that we are paying attention to what's been in Mario Kart Tour, because Mario Kart Tour is what a lot of these tracks are based off of. Because they've been making so much content for Mario Kart Tour, they've been able to readapt this, upscale it, improve it, add more, so they can get more done for this Booster Course Pass. So any remaining tracks in Mario Kart Tour could be a good sign for what's to come in the final wave. So the ultimate point I'm getting at here is that while I am considering all these different things, I'm not going to follow them 100%, because these are my predictions, it is for fun, and I do expect that there's going to be some things that are slightly unexpected. With all of that in mind, let's now get into my predictions. So going back to that missing Super Nintendo Super Mario Kart track, I'm thinking it's going to be Bowser's Castle. Why? Because we haven't gotten any sort of Bowser's Castle throughout the Booster Course Pass, and we do need at least one more Super Nintendo track, I think, and I think this is probably a pretty darn good fit. It's going to be nice to have at least one track with lava everywhere. The Datamine suggested there would be at least one more Wii track, which I don't think is too much of a stretch, and there's been a lot of speculation around that it would be a Rainbow Road. Considering that it's the very end of the Booster Course Pass, I think that there's definitely reason to have one more Rainbow Road to end it all, as they typically do in Mario Kart. And the Rainbow Road in Mario Kart Wii is one that many appreciate. So I think it's a decent possibility, and decent enough that I'm going to make it one of my predictions. Now I'm definitely unsure of just how many tour tracks are going to be in this final wave. If I base it off the pattern, there should be at least 3 tour tracks. But one I feel relatively confident in saying is going to be there is Rome Avanti. Why? Because the last of the tour tracks that are based off real-world locations that hasn't been included yet, so I think it's probably going to make it into this one. Moving forward, the Datamine also indicates there would be one more GameCube game, which I'm all for, and there's a couple that are in Mario Kart Tour that have not been brought over to Switch yet. One of them is DK Mountain, and the other is Dino Jungle. So if we're only getting one GameCube track, which one is it going to be? And this one's tricky, because I think they're going to add Diddy Kong as one of the last 2 characters for the Booster Course Pass, and with the Donkey Kong love, maybe they're going to want to also have a Donkey Kong stage. So DK Mountain would make a lot of sense, and it's definitely a fan favorite. I would love to have it there. But of all the stages that I want that isn't there yet, at least for Mario Kart Double Dash, it's Dino Jungle. Maybe this is just my own opinion, maybe it's just the bias kicking in, but I'm thinking they're going to add Dino Jungle. They added PD Piranha, and they didn't add any Piranha Plant tracks in Wave 5. And it wasn't that long ago that they added DK Summit as a part of Wave 4. So we've recently gotten a Donkey Kong track. So I'm going to predict of the 2, if there has to be one, it's Dino Jungle. That said, the prior wave had 2 different Wii tracks added. So why can't we have a wave where we have 2 GameCube tracks added? The Datamine doesn't suggest so, but the Datamine, I am not so sure is gospel. It's been wrong, so maybe it will be wrong here in the end. I'm not sure we should be expecting 3 whole new tracks to be added in the final wave, so instead, I'm going to go on a limb and predict that there will be more remade tracks in the final wave. So I think DK Mountain is going to make it in. It's one of those last few Mario Kart Tour tracks. It's already made, they just have to enhance it a bit, and I still would really like to see it because it is also one of my favorite tracks from Double Dash. And while they did add DK Summit, I'm never going to complain about extra Donkey Kong love. Now looking at the different tour tracks, I've noticed that there are some non-geographical tracks that haven't been added, and they are the Piranha Plant ones. But I find it hard to believe that they would add 2 different Piranha Plant tour tracks in the final wave. And given how these tracks from Mario Kart Tour have also been treated as new tracks in the Booster Course Pass, I think that there's going to be at least one Piranha Plant stage, potentially 2, But that just seems weird to me, so I'm going to predict that there's going to be one single Piranha Plant track that will be an amalgamation of all the Piranha Plant tracks from Mario Kart Tour. Which leaves me with 2 more spots. One of these is for sure going to be a brand new track we have not seen or heard of before. I absolutely believe that. But because this is the end of the Booster Course Pass, I can see how they might want to go out with a bit of a bang and have more than just one brand new track. So maybe we get 2. What would those 2 be about? That is tough to say. Maybe they could be tied into the final 2 characters. I'm predicting one of them is Diddy Kong, so I'm thinking that if they give us DK Mountain, they don't really need to give us a brand new track. But my other prediction for a final character is Pauline, and Pauline has a pretty big job in New Donk City from Super Mario Odyssey. I think it's kind of weird that there aren't any Mario Odyssey themed tracks in Mario Kart 8. The mainline 3D Mario, I think, should have some level of a presence in the mainline Mario Kart game for their respective generations, so I think we are going to get a new Donk City track. And I think it's going to be pretty cool. Maybe they even bring in the dinosaur, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. I think it could be amazing to see. And as for the other new track that I'm thinking there may be, well, your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea. All of these new tracks seem to have some level of randomness, but for the sake of fun, let's say they add another Zelda track. We have Hyrule Circuit, let's get one more that's based off Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe we could see the dragons in the background, maybe part of the race includes being on top of the dragons for a little bit. That would be really cool to see, it would be amazing. They do have 2 different versions of Link. They have the Link based off just normal Legend of Zelda, and then they have the Link based off Breath of the Wild, which also applies to Tears of the Kingdom. So if they added that, that would be pretty amazing. But as a dark horse pick, let's say we don't get 2 brand new tracks. Let's just say they throw in Airship Fortress. Why? Because I really want Airship Fortress and it'd be really cool. And maybe a whole bunch of other people will agree, and maybe they'll also agree and add it into the Booster Course Pass. And those are my predictions and some wishes for the final 8 tracks in the Booster Course Pass. Will there be more tracks announced in the future? That's a possibility, but I think, honestly, they gotta move on and start getting ready for the next big Mario Kart. But doubling the amount of tracks we got in Mario Kart 8 with this Booster Course Pass, with the extra characters and new little bells and whistles, has been more than enough for me. I'm very happy with what they've done, and I'm excited to see what's next for the final wave. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. This is Andres Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.